plastic bag is full, we throw it into the nearest landfill. It's out of sight and out of mind. What is the state of our humankind? And I don't know what to say, 'cause we produce more every day, and we call it garbage.
Going Green for Green is brought to you by Ontario Electronics Stewardship and recycleyourelectronics.ca.
Hello and welcome to Going Green for Green, the show that takes you inside the business of the environment. And when I'm talking about the business of the environment, I'm talking about the heavy lifting side, not necessarily carpooling and high energy efficiency light bulbs. We're talking about waste management, about creating green energy, and we're talking about diversion at the curb and how processing of our waste is the future of business. And there's a lot of great business opportunities within both reusing products out of the waste stream as well as being involved in the diversion or the hauling or the processing of waste. In this episode, we're going to focus on brownfields. What is a brownfield? Well, brownfields range from the old corner gas station where the storage tanks were stored under the ground and leaked oil and gas into the soil, to old industrial sites where the contaminants might range from metals to PCBs. A great deal of these brownfields are in prime real estate, the reason being that much of the industry developed right on the shores of Lake Ontario. So it's imperative for municipalities such as the City of Toronto to develop these sites. We're going to talk to Mayor Miller about some of the steps that the City of Toronto has taken to encourage development and how this billion-dollar industry in the City of Toronto alone is creating new opportunities for entrepreneurs. And if $1 billion is out of your league as a developer, we're also going to take you to Kingston, where on a much smaller scale, opportunities exist for developers who are beginning to specialize in brownfield development. In the City of Toronto, there's a lot of prime real estate that is sitting on contaminated land, and the opportunity to develop those brownfields is really right there for the taking. You have a very green mayor in Mayor Miller at the City of Toronto who's aggressively trying to find partners to develop these lands. So come with me and we're going to see what the mayor has to say. This morning, in fact, we were at the PCB conference, and brownfields is such a hot topic, and knowing that, you know, the City of Toronto and your waterfront development plans, you got a lot of brownfields down there. You know, one of the things that the show, as I say, is that we're opening up opportunities. What can you say about the significance for the City of Toronto to remediate brownfields and develop them?
The brownfield sites we have in the City of Toronto are all leftover industrial sites, and that industry is gone. And it's our goal to take those sites, remediate them, and create jobs. So we have two entities that are doing this in the waterfront, the Toronto Waterfront Revitalization Corporation. In the rest of the city, an organization called Build Toronto, which we just established, building on the successful work of TEDCO. And we have an expertise in the land remediation, and government has an ability to steer that land towards commercial development. If we just sold it, it would become condominiums. We want to create jobs and wealth and opportunity. So what we're going to do is clean land and partner with the private sector to develop commercial, industrial, job-related uses, some residential, of course. And that will help City of Toronto's economy tremendously. And it will do a whole bunch of positive things for the environment. A lot of those sites are already on public transit, for example. Right. So you don't need to build new infrastructure in order to have people working near where they live. The cleanup techniques, as you know from the conference today, are so far ahead of where they were even a decade ago. It's remarkable. It can be done efficiently, effectively, and it's all because of new technology. And it's all because 10 or 15 years ago, people saw an opportunity, entrepreneurs saw an opportunity to invest in these new technologies because of some of the environmental laws. And you know, it speaks to what I said earlier. When you do the right thing for the environment, you do the right thing for the economy by definition.
So in terms of, you know, investment from the city's perspective in remediating these brownfields, I mean, what kind of dollars are we talking about?
Well, you're really talking billions. You know, one site in the Portlands, one site where Chorus has its head office is an investment of over $120 million because we were able to clean the site and bring Chorus's head office there. That is one site. There's hundreds of them in Toronto, and it creates extraordinary opportunities. And you know, at this time of economic uncertainty, when financing for real estate is tight, even though the Canadian banking system's in much better shape than the US, there's still some ripples. And when financing's tight, one of the things that government can do is make its land available. That's a way to partner with the private sector and overcome some of the financing hurdles. And so there is literally the possibility of billions of dollars of investment, creating commercial and industrial and some residential right in the city of Toronto. It's an extraordinary possibility, and that's all come about because of the modern techniques of remediating land.
And have you got developers that are approaching the city that are basically specializing in brownfields?
Oh, absolutely. I worked directly with some of them when I was city councillor in the ward I represented, Hyde Park, Parkdale. It was an old Stelco plant.
Right.
It used to have its own train station called Bolt Works because they made bolts. And they don't make bolts in Toronto anymore. And it's now a residential development. But the developer partnered with a U.S. fund called Cherokee. And they are specialists in remediating brownfields. But that's not the only one. There's several. And you need a couple of things. First of all, you need to understand what the possibilities are. In terms of development, because a brownfield site may not, you may not have quite the same possibilities as a normal site. The second thing is you have to have the patience to hold the land long enough to clean it. And the third thing is you have to have knowledge around the environmental techniques. With respect to the city-owned sites, those first two issues we can deal with. And that allows us to partner really effectively with the development industry.
Right, you create the opportunity, then they come in and basically manage the project.
Yeah, they do what they're good at. Right? They're good at developing. We're good at holding land and cleaning it because we have a long-run vision. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's really, this moment in time, it's a very important opportunity.
Check us out online at www.goinggreenforgreen.tv or follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
Going Green for Green is brought to you by the Royal Bank of Canada.
So today we're at the PCB Disposal and Destruction Conference at the Airport Hilton, just north of the city of Toronto. And Going Green for Green, we're really trying to educate our viewers here on the heavy lifting side of the environment. And although global warming is a major topic, PCBs are right around the corner. They're in your neighborhood. And the conference that we're at today is basically dealing with destruction of PCBs and processing of PCBs. PCBs being polychlorinated biphenyls. There's over 209 different types of PCBs, and they exist in everything from the transformers in heating systems of old buildings to the ballasts in fluorescent lighting. There's many different types of processing systems. We're going to look at a couple inside here today. Swan Hills Treatment Center in Alberta is probably one of the few in North America that really actually what they call destroys the PCB in its entirety. In fact, they incinerate them. There's a lot of great business models in here, and there's a lot of successful businessmen in here that are awaiting the new government regulations. This is the first chance that many of these environmental companies are getting to sort of question the MOE and get the exact details with respect to those regulations. We're here with John. John, just tell us a little bit about Gore and how you got into the environmental business.
Sure. Gore is a company we've been in business for about 30 years. We've got four main divisions. Everybody knows about the Gore-Tex Fabrics division, but a lot of people don't know we're also in the medical products, we're in electronic products, and also industrial products. Industrial products is what we're here today to speak about. Products that we have that destroy dioxins and furans and PCBs. The biggest part of the environmental business that we're in is related to dry particulate control. So the same concept around the Gore-Tex jackets where the water will beat up on the surface but will allow your body temperature to escape. We put similar membranes on the filter bags that will collect dry particulate, stop it from going out the smokestack, keep it in the bag house, keeping the air clean. Clean smokestacks is good business.
So today at Going Green for Green, we're in Kingston, Ontario, and we're here not just for the beautiful scenery and the fabulous architecture. We're here because Kingston, as the oldest municipality of Canada, they have a lot of brownfield sites, and they're in prime real estate all along the waterfront of Lake Ontario. Now, Kingston has been very aggressive in terms of a municipality in trying to get these sites developed. They've offered tax incentives and have varying degrees of legislation put in place to offer developers an incentive to come to Kingston and build their projects on contaminated land. We're also in Kingston because it's home to one of the great environmental entrepreneurs in Canada right now, a man by the name of George Scott. He's just recently been named Businessman of the Year for the second time in as many years, and he's going to take us around his facility and talk about how he thinks globally and acts locally. Norterra Organics is the latest in organic composting in Eastern Ontario.
George, just tell us, how does your wastewater treatment facility and I guess your other C of A's in terms of being able to haul contaminants, how does that play into brownfield development specifically?
Basically, brownfield development is it's kind of an unmined jewel, I guess. And the problem with it in the past is that the remediation of the site wasn't worth the value of the site. So the government a few years back put in a program that they would give you a tax incentive to actually clean the site. We've done a number of small brownfield development. I have property that we've done bioremediation with microbes, which works in certain instances.
And those microbes actually, it's like microscopic bugs.
Yeah, well, these microbes, they can't go. They're not like a bloodhound. They don't go find oil. You know, these are very, very small microscopic organisms. So you basically drill a well and you put your microbes in, and you'd follow the groundwater delineations.
So the microbes actually travel through the groundwater,
yeah,
and then basically eat the waste.
They digest. They digest and convert the hydrocarbons into a non-toxic form. So the problem is,
and a hydrocarbon would be like, so if
gasoline,
right? You know, there's corner gas stations that had the underground oil tanks all over the city of Toronto, all over the province for that matter. And they sit undeveloped, and basically, you're telling me that we can inject microscopic bugs that would eat those contaminants.
Yeah. The problem with that is that
amazing stuff.
Well, it's amazing. It's sort of like it's not as amazing as it sounds, because it only works well with very, very specific types of soils. It wouldn't work well if you're in southeastern Ontario, where we have a lot of St. Lawrence clay. If you have contaminated clay, how are you going to push water through it?
Right.
It doesn't, you know, that's the nature of clay, right? It prevents water movement. So if you have contaminated soils, you're never going to be able to push microbes through it. So you can use other technologies. You can use passivation, which is a very interesting technology, using hydrogen peroxide. You can use, you can do the traditional dig and dump, where you dig the material up and send it to landfill, and use it as cover. Cover is very important in a landfill because it caps each layer as they apply our municipal solid waste into our dumps. You can also bioremediate it by moving it and putting it in a system like the Gore system and putting air through it and using a microbe and continually turning it. Every site is specific, Michael. For instance, if you have a company that, or if you have a site that is where they used to make batteries, for instance, you have a lot of lead contamination. Lead is a heavy metal. It's been designated as a dangerous substance in terms of human beings and plant and animals. And how do you remove a heavy metal from a soil? Like, people have this misconception that heavy metals can disappear. They can't. They just change forms. So you need to put a process in, whether it's on site, where it's a little bit easier in terms of regulation to treat on site, but it's more difficult because you got to bring all the technology to the site, and you may not have the site size to be able to deploy the technology that you need. Or you take the material and you bring it to a processing facility that can treat a lot of that waste and then reapply it.
Check us out online at www.goinggreenforgreen.tv or follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
Going Green for Green is brought to you by Ontario Electronic Stewardship and recycleyourelectronics.ca.
Today we find ourselves once again at the Molson Amphitheatre. Another great summer event here in Toronto. We're going to pop over and visit our friend Sean McGee at the recycleyourelectronics.ca booth, where he's going to take to the street and find out what Ontarians know about recycling their electronics.
Do you have any unused or unwanted electronics at home or at work?
I certainly do.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes.
Yes.
Do you have any old electronics at home or at your office?
God, yes, I do. Yes, at home.
Yes.
And what do you do with them when you know you've got them?
They usually find somewhere in the basement until there's too much stuff there, and then I do recycle them.
Usually take them to the recycling depot. How do you get rid of it?
Well, I heard that there's a way to do it, but I just haven't had a chance to look it up.
I keep them.
I usually end up keeping them too.
I was going to take them to a place in Oakville that I know I'm supposed to take them to.
What do you do with them when you're done with them?
I take them to the Toronto Environment Days.
You're not throwing them out, you're recycling them. Why do you decide to recycle them rather than throwing them out?
It just seems like a waste, and I don't think that they're good for the environment if you throw them out.
We got a limited planet here. You gotta take care of it.
Well, when things go into a landfill, I mean, they're just there for forever. And so, you know, if there's another place you can put them where it can go to better use, then not do that.
Would you prefer to take it to somewhere that is going to recycle the electronics?
Yeah, absolutely. If I thought it would have the right outcome, I'm a huge recycler. Huge.
And why are you into that? Why is that something that you care about?
Can't stand waste.
Have you ever heard of recycleyourelectronics.ca?
No, I don't know the name.
What if I told you that this is a program that is available for free use across Ontario, where you can go and drop off your old electronics at over 600 sites. All that you need to do is visit recycleyourelectronics.ca, drop off your e-waste, and then we'll make sure it either gets recycled or refurbished, and it's done in Ontario. What do you think about that?
I think that's great.
Recycleyourelectronics.ca.
We're here with Ed Smith, two-term councillor with the City of Kingston. Ed, give us a little rundown on what steps council's taken here over the last few years to try and develop these properties.
Well, the big step is putting in brownfields legislation and a program that allows developers to recoup their remediation costs. Over a course of a 10-year period, they get to recoup 80% of the remediation costs. So they can go in and clean up a site and recoup that in tax reductions. You know, it brings back into inventory lands that have typically laid fallow for the last number of decades.
What other things are hot on the environmental agenda for Kingston?
Well, we've had some success with the brownfields program. Block D was developed. There's 4 large buildings, 3 residential apartments and condos, and a hotel has gone up there. The city did develop on their own a new 6,000-seat sports entertainment center, the K-Rock Center, and that was on a brownfield site. There's a site at the corner of Queen and Bagot Street, which shortly an 8-9-story apartment building is going up, and that developer took advantage of the brownfields legislation. I mean, you know, Kingston has been very hot. We've had a lot of development and construction in the last 5 or 6 years, both the municipality but also privately. There's been a lot of private sector work being done, institutional work. Queens has got big projects on the go, so does the hospitals. So, you know, the construction industry is booming in Kingston right now.
So we're here at the Kingston Economic Development Corporation with the CEO, Jeff Guerra. Jeff, tell us, what exactly is Kingston doing to try to move these brownfields and make Kingston an attractive place for developers?
Well, certainly from a marketing perspective, we're talking to a lot of developers, both inside Kingston, provincially and nationally, in terms of some of the properties that are available in the zones, in the designated zones, to incent development in brownfield areas, particularly looking at tax incentives and development and impost charge incentives to help rejuvenate old abandoned industrial sites.
The LVEC venture and completing that project has made some changes in the community.
Well, I think it's a great example where the city, through an infrastructure investment on our own, helped to rejuvenate a brownfield site. We'd been working with some private sector developers on that site, and from a lending and a mortgage perspective, sometimes it's difficult to put a financing deal together on a site that has environmental challenges. So the city, I believe in its wisdom, chose that site and rejuvenated it, and in fact right now I think it's a major draw to our downtown and has been enormously successful since it's opened.
This project behind me is approximately 9 acres of land that was originally in the 1850s to the 1950s locomotive works, where they built and refurbished railway cars and engines. It has sat vacant since the 1970s, and it has been the application of numerous development proposals, but none of them were approved until this one came along, primarily because of the Brownfields program, which provided assistance to help it move ahead. Okay, this map here shows the brownfield project improvement areas overlaid in our downtown area.
And we're right here.
We're
correct?
right there. So there's approximately 9 acres here that's currently being developed behind us. This is our downtown area here, and then there's a great opportunity within this area for really some really good development. We have some development that's already transpiring, so there's a lot of opportunities for related amenities.
We finally look at brownfields and you see what's involved in terms of trying to make a development on a site that's been deemed a brownfield or that has contamination. Financing becomes a major hurdle and obstacle. And the Royal Bank has taken some steps and established an environmental risk assessment portfolio manager. Jamie Evans is his name, and he's taken some time out of his busy day, and he's going to tell us what's involved in financing a brownfield.
We're going to be coming to the Royal Bank for our expertise in understanding what makes a successful brownfield. And a successful brownfield would include having great environmental consultants and lawyers on your side, because they'll clear the hurdles for you in terms of the environmental side is having quality tenants, something that's going to generate a lot of cash flow. Because the cash flow is a key consideration, because if they can't pay the loan, then there's no interest on the bank's part. And if you get all of these ducks in a row in terms of the credit side, it makes the environment side go away. And there are some brownfield firms out there now that actually will just clean it up to that level where they sell off the property as clean, and then someone else actually develops whatever they want to develop on the property. People think that the environment is what kills the deal. It's the credit side that kills the deal. And the environment is just drives the last few nails in the coffin. If the credit doesn't work and the environment doesn't work, the brownfield is not going to go forward. In Ontario, I think there's going to be a problem with brownfield redevelopments in terms of the fact that they're changing the regulations. They're making the criteria that you have to meet, or the hurdles you have to jump, much higher. Now you have to do a risk assessment. And so that process usually takes about between 12 and 18 months in Ontario. And so there's a big lag in terms of the time when you actually start the project and when you can actually put a shovel in the ground. And for an investor, that's time wasted as far as they're concerned, because there's no guarantee that at the end of the day you're going to actually get your brownfield started. Yeah, I think if the government would just step back from going forward with these new brownfield regulations and look at the effect that it's actually going to have on the development community, I think that would be a big plus.
So I guess you're wondering what Going Green for Green is all about. And I want to tell you, this is about an expression of my frustration. I have long been an environmentalist. I grew up on the Rattray Marsh. I've been playing in the marshes and swimming in the lakes and streams around this country and all over the world my entire life. I love nature. It is just a quintessential part of both my happiness and my well-being. And I want to tell you, as I watch this environmental movement get hijacked by greenhouse gas emissions and CO2 and climate change, I sit back and I say to myself, does anybody realize the irony in this? We are on a planet spinning around an axis, traveling through a galaxy. The planet's 80% water, and somehow my SUV is to blame for what's wrong with the environment. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. But I don't know. We have these Great Lakes, and there is not one restaurant in the city of Toronto that serves fish from the Great Lakes. That's a problem for me. That's a serious problem. I don't understand why we as a society and as people that live in this fabulous city, Toronto, have sat around and not made this a #1 issue. What can we do? Well, the solutions are there, and I'm going to take you through that. We're going to be looking at, literally hundreds of millions of dollars that are being contemplated to be spent on trying to cap and negate and remediate PCBs and dioxins and furans and mercury in our Great Lakes and solve some of these problems. And they can be solved. And this is where I want to motivate you people. I mean, you think about it. Would you eat a beautiful trout or a salmon or a bass at a Lake Ontario if you knew they were clean? Of course you would. Would there be restaurants down at Queen's Quay serving Great Lakes fish? Of course there would be. And it's possible.
Another plastic bag is full. We throw it into the nearest landfill. It's out of sight and out of mind. What is the state of our humankind? And I don't know what to say, 'cause we produce more every day, and we call it garbage.